Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajana Bhaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuruntam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So welcome all the devotees. Ujjwal Mani Mataji, Niru Mataji, welcome. Welcome Mataji. Nice to see you. Neelam Mataji, and who else have not? Ambada Prabhu,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dhruv,
Hare Krishna
and
Prabhuji.
and
Hare
everyone,
Krishna Prabhuji.
and Phillips Prabhu, and everyone. Okay, so thank you very much, and let us see.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Let us see how many verses we can cover today. And in the previous chapter, entitled The Departure of Lord Krishna, we discussed that Maharaj Yudhishthir had sent Arjun to Dwaraka to find out the next program of Krishna, to find out the next plan of action for Krishna, Krishna's next plan. And 7 months has passed, but Arjuna had not returned from Dwaraka yet. So Maharaj Yudhishthir observed various inauspicious signs, omens, bad omens. And so then he was mentioning all these inauspicious signs with his younger brother Bhimasena. So he was thinking that, I'm observing all these inauspicious signs. So it could be that my dear Lord Krishna must have left this planet. And in the meantime, Arjun came, and Arjun was very sorrowful. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, he started to ask various questions. You are sad. Is it because of this? Because of that? Did you not protect elderly people? Was there a danger to any of our relatives? Did you not give shelter to someone? Or is it that, our dear Lord Krishna left the planet? That's why you are lamenting and you appear to be dejected. So this is where the chapter ended, the last chapter. and Arjun did not get a chance to speak in the last chapter. And this in this chapter we see how Arjun speaks, in response to Maharaj Yudhishthir's questioning. Um, so can is Madhav Kumar Prabhu there, or Madhav Kumar Prabhu? Haribol, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
So
Prabhu.
this is slightly different, Prabhu. So can we ask someone to read until 7, and then after that we have to read each verse?
First, 1 to 7.
1 to 7. I'll share the screen,
Yeah.
and
Anuradha Mataji, if you're okay to read.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Text 1 to 7.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
The Pandavas retire timely. Text 1. Shuta Goswami said, Arjuna, the celebrated friend of Lord Krishna, was grief-stricken because of his strong feeling of separation from Krishna, over and above all Maharaja Yudhishthir's speculative inquiries. Text 2. Due to grief, Arjuna's mouth and lotus-like heart had dried up. Therefore, his body lost all luster. Now, remembering the Supreme Lord, he could hardly utter a word in reply. Text 3. With great difficulty, he checked the tears of grief that smeared his eyes. He was very distressed because Lord Krishna was out of his sight, and he increasingly felt affection for him. Text 4. Remembering Lord Krishna and his well wishes, benefactions, intimate familial relations, and his chariot driving, Arjuna, overwhelmed and breathing very heavily, began to speak. Text 5. Arjuna said, O King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus, my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. Text 6. I have just lost him, whose separation for a moment would render all the universe unfavorable and void, like bodies without life. Text 7. Only his merciful strength was I able to vanquish all the lusty princes assembled at the palace of King Drupad for the selection of the bridegroom. With my bow and arrow, I could pierce the fish target and thereby gain the hand of Draupadi.
thank you very much, Mataji. Um, so here, Arjuna is grief-stricken. So it is quite natural to be, to be in that position. Even someone very close to us sometimes even actually leaves to a distant place. We feel that separation. And we always think of that person. Oh, no. So when he was here, when that person was here, this, he helped, that person helped me this way, that way, and he was always looking after me. So we always remember those favors uh, done by the person that we are separated from. It is quite natural. And Maharaj, um, Arjun was completely grief stricken, and his mouth was drying up, and his heart also a little bit dried. These are various symptoms of the adrenaline release in the body. Yeah, so it was great difficulty. He was unable to speak. His mouth was choked, and he was unable to speak, unable to respond to Maharaj Yudhishthir's question. But remembering Lord Krishna, and so he slowly started to speak, uh, because he's now separated. He lost his intimate friend. And so he was thinking that in text 4, that how, how there's a nice connection, intimate relationship between Arjuna and Krishna. Uh, so Krishna always favored Arjun, and they were a friendly relationship. and it is called Sakyaras. So friendship with the Lord. Arjun was in friendship with the Lord, and also there is a family relationship. Like Subhadra was Krishna's sister, and so it is only by Krishna's arrangement that Arjun married to Subhadra. His own sister got married to Arjun, uh, and of course Kunti is his maternal aunt, uh, and that relationship is there. And always on top of that, Krishna acted as a charioteer to Arjun, mm, a menial servant. uh, so he was just thinking that every incident that that he had with the Lord. mm, and um, so he was mentioning in text 5, it is very important. He was mentioning that he treated me like exactly like an intimate friend, and now he left me here alone. Uh, and the point here is that thus my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. Mm. So Arjuna is feeling powerless um, uh, in the absence of Lord Krishna. Mm. Prabhupada very nicely mentioned in the purport to this text 5 that we 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 get all our abilities. Uh, Krishna says in the Gita, Paurusham Nrushu, 7th chapter, text 8. Krishna says, Paurusham Nrushu means I am the ability in man. Uh, so whatever ability we have, ability to speak, ability to walk, ability to talk or do something, any little ability that we have is because of Krishna. Mm. So Prabhupada nicely mentions in the purport to text 5 um, that uh, maybe someone can read this little one. Let me share the screen. It's a beautiful uh, point. Maybe Anuradha Mataji, if you want to continue, if you don't mind. Can you see the
Okay,
highlighted bit?
Prabhuji. No, it hasn't come up yet, Prabhuji.
Is it? Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's come up now. All right, yeah. The lesson is therefore that no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. The sane man should rather feel obliged to the Lord for such benefactions and must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. Such power can be such power
Withdrawn.
can be withdrawn at any time by the Lord. So the best use of such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord.
When I was preparing for this class, and this really struck me deep, and I wanted to probably read this few sentences, these few sentences over and again. Mm. Very important point. The lesson is therefore that no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. Whatever power we have, that we have borrowed from the Lord only. Uh, The sane man should rather feel obliged to the Lord for such benefactions and must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. What a wonderful point. So, whatever power we have, Prabhupada says that then we should use it in the service of the Lord. Mm. This power can be withdrawn at any time. Recently, I heard the news of this Indonesia flight being collapsed. Mm. Just like, in 1 second, whatever we have worked, whatever, like, hard work we have done in throughout our life, in 1 second can be finished everything. So whatever power we have, we should use it in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada nicely points out that such power can be withdrawn at any time by the Lord. So the best use of such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord. Did you like that? Those few sentences? Yes. So you can make a note and read it again. That so whatever the time, this time is also opulence of Krishna. Mm. And our ability to hear, ability to speak, ability to read is the power, is actually coming from Krishna. Mm. Whatever little we have, we can engage in the service of the Lord. Now, all of us, we are trying to engage this hearing power, this reading power in the service of the Lord by discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Arjun was recollecting that various abilities he had, now he appeared to lose them. Mm. Um, and so he is recollecting one incident after another. Mm. Um, and the first incident in text 7, he remembers about Draupadi, Swayamvar. Swayamvar means, so let me give a little background. Draupadi is the daughter of Drupada. Hmm? Drupada, he didn't have any children, and he performed a sacrifice. And from the sacrifice, um, one male, one female child came. Male was Drushtadhumna, and female was Draupadi. Draupadi was extremely beautiful, and so uh, and what happened was that so he wanted to give it to a talented person, Kshatriya. And Drupada knows that Arjun was one of the talented personality. And he arranged this Swayamvar, means all the kings and princes were invited to take part in this competition. The competition, we all know that uh, there is a fish being hanged by a little thread that onto the moving wheel. There is a wheel that is moving, and then the fish is being hanged with a little thread, and that is, the wheel is moving. And what you need to do, you need to look in the water down the shadow of the fish and pierce the eye of the fish while the wheel is being moved. Now, Prabhupada writes in the purport. I'm just like, some purports we are reading, some purports I will explain. Prabhupada explains this in the purport. And the various people came. Krishna was also present. Arjun and his brothers, they were in exile, and they came in the disguise of Brahmanas. Mm. Uh, Karna was also there. Uh, so Karna was also equally competent, but by the mercy of the Lord, so Krishna, Arjun remembers that he was able to pierce the eye of the fish and got hold of Draupadi's hand. Although there were several talented kings were there in that assembly. So Arjun recollected this incident, that I could do this because of the Lord's mercy. Mm. Uh, so this is how he's remembering each and every incident. Let's move on to the next one. Madhakumar Prabhu, how you want to do? This is like verse by verse we are going to read from here. Haribol?
So we need translation also.
Sometimes we may read we will definitely read the translation, but also sometimes we may read a little bit of purport as well. So text 8, please.
This is one after the. Shashi Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
And after that,
Prabhupada.
Meena
From
Gita
text
and
8 to
Mataji.
Yes, text 8, Mataji.
8 to what?
No, only text 8, and
No,
we
eight
may read the purport
of
little bit.
after 8.
Okay. Text 8. Because he was near me and it was possible for me to conquer with great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradev, along with his demigod associates, and thus enable the fire god to devastate the Khandwa forest. And only by his grace was the demon named Maya saved from um, the
Blaze.
blazing Khandwa forest. And thus we could build our assembly house of wonderful architectural workmanship, where all the princes assembled during the performance of Rajsui Yagna and paid you tributes.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Let's see, and also.
Thank you.
So this is another incident Arjun recollected. So in the forest known as Khandava, there was a demon named Maya, Maya Dhano. Uh, he was living in that forest. Uh, so the fire god Agni, so he wanted to consume some of the medicinal herbs. Mm, that was his desire, and he approached Indradev, king of heaven, and that, "O Indra, I wanted to consume some herbal medicine." Mm. And Indra said, go to the Kanda forest, eat so many medicinal herbs present there." Mm. So fire god means, like, fire means there will, he doesn't eat like like us. There will be a fire. That's how he eats up everything. So the Kondava forest was set on fire, and the demon living was Mayadhana. Hmm? So, and also there is, so fire is attacking the living place of Mayadhana. And secondly, at the same time, Lord Krishna wanted to kill this demon, because he was a demon. And Lord Krishna released his Sudarshan disc. Same time, this fire was attacking. At the same time, the Sudarshan disc was also released by Krishna. And see, what did Mayadanav do? If we follow in the footsteps on Mayadanav, if we follow in the footsteps of Mayadanav on this incident, um, he showed, then we will be safe. Then what did he do? He immediately took shelter of Arjun. So he did not take shelter of Krishna. So he was clever in that way. He took shelter of Arjun. Nice. Prabhupada explains, very beautiful purport. We will read a little bit as well. Mm. Uh, so he's very clever. Because if I take the shelter of Arjun, then Lord is on my side. Krishna says in the Gita, Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhaktya pranashyati. O Arjun, declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. And so that's how Maya Dana was saved, both from fire and as well as Lord's Sudarshan disc. And Mayadana wanted to give something in return to Arjun. And Arjun said, no, I don't need anything. But Lord said, no, let's take the help of Mayadana and build a wonderful building with various mystical things happen inside this building. Mm. So, and Arjun was recollecting, although he saved Mayadana, but it was the mercy of Lord Krishna that he could protect Mayadana. And Prabhupada writes some very wonderful points in this purport. We will read that out. Maybe Shashi Mataji can read. Let me see here if I can find that phrase here. Devotees. Oops.
Devotees.
Yeah, from here, sorry.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, thanks. Devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord. And in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Both the fire and the Lord ceased from chasing the demon as soon as both of them saw that the demon was given shelter by such a devotee as Arjuna. This demon, feeling obliged to Arjuna, wanted to do some service to show his gratefulness. But Arjuna declined to accept anything from him in exchange. Lord Shri Krishna, however, being pleased with Maya or Maidana for his taking shelter of a devotee, asked him to render service unto King Yudhishthira by building a wonderful assembly house. The process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. And by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve the Lord's devotee is obtained. And the club of Bhimsena was also a gift of Mayadana.
So many wonderful jewels are present in these few sentences. And here, the first one is devotees are therefore more merciful than the Lord. Hmm? Krishna says in the Gita, if you read, idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya katachana na cha shushrutave vacham na cha mam abhyasuyate. Krishna says that don't give these signs of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam to everyone openly. Hmm? Not everyone openly, but give it to only my devotees. Krishna says, but Prabhupada writes also. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he started giving it to everyone. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful than Lord Krishna. Similarly, Prabhupada came and he started giving it to everyone. Uh, so devotees are more merciful than the Lord. Hmm? Um, and in devotional service, the mercy of the devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. There you go, another bullet point. Please make a note of that point. In devotional service, the mercy of devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. Hmm? Of course, the mercy of the Lord comes via the devotee of the Lord. Hmm? And another point here, here he mentioned, the process is that by the grace of the devotee, the mercy of the Lord is obtained. And by the mercy of the Lord, a chance to serve Lord's devotees obtained. Mhm. So we're all in the right path, and that we have wonderful example of Srila Prabhupada. We are very fortunate having come in contact with this movement. It is very rare. Krishna says that Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. After many, many, many thousands, billions and trillions of lives, one come to my path, one come to me, one surrenders to me. But here we are, by the mercy of Prabhupada. So we are reading this Srimad Bhagavatam, and let us take this advantage. Just see that how, even Sudarshan disc stopped. He was protected. Mahadana was protected by Sudarshan disc. Even if there is some karma that is going to come upon us because of our past activities, but by taking shelter of Prabhupada, we will be able to overcome that. I felt that this purport was very powerful. So next to move on to text 9. Maybe another devotee, Madhav Kumar Prabhu.
Yeah, Mataji, Shashinga Mataji can carry on reading.
Okay. Shashi Mataji.
Okay. Text 9. Your respectable younger brother, who possesses the strength of 10,000 elephants, killed by his grace Jarasandh, whose feet were worshipped by many kings. These kings had been brought for sacrifice in Jarasandh's Mahabhairav Yagna. but then they were released. Later, they paid tribute to your majesty.
So Arjun, Arjun was recollecting all these incidents, and I'm repeatedly mentioning the same point, but he was mentioning that how all these things happened by the mercy of the Lord. That's how he's remembering the Lord through these incidents and pastimes. And next one, he recollected about the pastime that happened in connection with Jarasandh. Mm. So Bhima killed Jarasandh. Jarasandh was a powerful demon. We know that demon doesn't mean that there are two arms or they look different. They know, like demons means we have 16th chapter of Gita, isn't it? Divine and demonic. It's the character, it's the nature. Yes, it is the nature that that makes one demon or the devotee. Mm. Um, so Jarasandh, so his birth was given in the purport. There a nice story. Prabhupada mentions that Jarasandh's father was Bruhadrata. He didn't have any children. He had two wives, and then he left the kingdom, went to forest just to live in forest, and then by some or other he happened to meet a sage, and that sage gave a little fruit to the king and said that you will definitely have a child. Give this fruit to your wives, and they consumed the fruit and they became pregnant, and then when the child was born, each of them um, delivered only half of the portion. So yes, if you tear this body into two, mm, then that's how two parts, one part from each mother. And so king thought, what happened? Then he threw these two parts in the forest, and there was a demoness named Jara who was living in the forest and who was very fond of this fresh, young, or tender flesh. And she wanted to come and eat. But out of curiosity, she just joined these two parts. There you go. Back, it became child and back to life. Mm. She was very surprised. Now it, it became full boy, and she wanted to go and give the boy to the king, and king was very pleased, and king said, what can I give you in return? And Jara, demoness Jara, said that you just name this boy after my name. So Jarasandh's father said, no problem, I will name him Jarasandh. Sandh means is combined, like, together. Sandhi, conjunction, together. So the one who is joined or put together by demoness Jara is called Jarasandh. So he was worship of Lord Shiva, and so Krishna, he was very inimical to Krishna. Krishna killed Kamsa, and Kamsa's maternal uncle was Jarasandha. Mm. So Krishna defeated Jarasandha several times, I think around 17 times. Mm. And this time, so Krishna, Arjun, and Bhima, they three of them went to Jarasandh, uh, disguised as Brahmanas, because Jarasandha was very charitable to Brahmanas. Uh, Although he was charitable to Brahmanas, he was still called a demon. Just remember that point. Yes, several demons are still charitable. Prabhupada writes, these are not my words. I'm just repeating from the purport. Mm. So, and so Jarasandha received them well, and he said, what do you want? And, these three, these Krishna, these Brahmanas, they said that give us fight. And so he selected Bhim, that you are not equal to me in fighting. I will only fight with Bhim. And so they started fighting. During the day they used to fight, and in the night he provided the accommodation and meals for them as well. Jarasandh. And the battle went for several days. And so Bhim was fighting, but he was not able to be victorious. And Krishna gives the trick that you have to tear and throw them apart, each part. So like that. So on Krishna's advice, Bhim did that, and Bhim became victorious that way. And there were these Jarasandh. So he defeated all these small kings and brought them to sacrifice to Kala Bhairav. There were millions of these kings were standing there in the prison. They were about to be offered in the sacrifice. But now Jarasandha was killed. So all these kings were released, and they are so much indebted to Maharaj Yudhishthir, of course, because Bhim is, Bhim killed Jarasandha. So they were all very, very grateful to Maharaj Yudhishthir. So let me show. So this is the picture. Can you see here? You might have seen this before, how Krishna was showing to Bhimsena that by tearing a little stick. So that's how Bhimsena killed Jarasandha. Jarasandha was a very powerful demon. So again, yes, it is by the mercy of the Lord this incident happened. And now we'll move on to the next text. So this chapter is, with full of stories. Text 10.
Meena Mataji, you there?
Yes.
You can read a couple of verses. 10 and
So text 10, yeah?
Yes,
please.
please.
Thank you. And 11 afterwards, one at a time.
Sorry?
One
Text
at a
10
time.
and 11. Yeah, one at a time. Yeah, please.
Translation. It was he only who loosened the hair of all the wives of the miscreants who dared open the cluster of your queen's hair, which had been nicely dressed and sanctified for the great Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. At that time, she fell down at the feet of Lord Krishna with tears in her eyes.
So Mataji, read the purport as well, little purport, but yeah.
Okay. Purport. Queen Draupadi had a beautiful bunch of hair which was sanctified in the ceremonial function of Rajasuya Yagna. But when she was lost in her bed, Dushasan touched her glorified hair to insult her. Draupadi then fell down at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna decided that all the wives of Dushasan and company should have their hair loosened as a result of the battle of Kurukshetra. Thus, after the battle of Kurukshetra, after all the sons and grandsons of Dhritarashtra died in battle, all the wives of the family were obliged to loosen their hair as widows. In other words, all the wives of the Kuru family became widows because of Dushasan's insulting a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord can tolerate insults upon himself by any miscreant because the father tolerates even insults from the son. But he never tolerates insults upon his devotees. By insulting a great soul, one has to forego all the results of pious acts and benedictions also.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So we know this story, isn't it? Dushasan pulled Draupadi by her hair, and And so it was very insulting to her. And of course, she approached Krishna. Krishna, so yes, uh, he made like he made the Dushasan wives hair loosened. So it was a custom in those days that as a widow, generally they will leave their hair loosened, it seems. And here Prabhupada mentions one interesting point, that Lord can tolerate insult upon him by any miscreant, because the Father tolerates even insults from the Son, but he never tolerates insults to his devotees. By insulting a great soul, one has to forego all the results of pious acts and benedictions also. Mm. Basically, Pandavas are very dear devotees of the Lord, and Kauravas insulted them, and that's why they had to undergo all these uh, calamities. So next, text 11, Mataji, carry on.
Maripur. Text 11, translation. During our exile, Durvasa Muni, who eats with his 10,000 disciples, intrigued with our enemies to put us in dangerous trouble. Intrigued with our enemies to put us in dangerous trouble. At that time, Lord Krishna, simply by accepting the remnants of food, saved us. By his accepting food, thus, the assembly of Munis, while bathing in the river, felt sumptuously fed, and all the three worlds were also satisfied.
So we all know this story. We have heard it many times. The Durvasa name comes in Srimad Bhagavatam many times, and also in the pastime of Maharaj Ambrish. Uh, so Durvasa's name comes. Durvasa is a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. Uh, he's like Lord Shiva, quickly pleased and quickly gets annoyed. Um, as the potency of Lord Shiva, mm, and very quickly gets pleased also. So he gave this boon to Kunti Maharani, we know that, with which she could invite any demigod she wished for, like that. So Durvasa once went to Duryodhan's place, with his disciples. And Duryodhan fed Durvasa Muni very nicely and looked after all his disciples very nicely. And he knows that, if I look after this Durvasa, then he will give me some benediction. I will use that benediction uh, to trouble Pandavas. So when he was looked after nicely by Duryodhan, and Durvasa said, "What can I give you in return? I don't need anything, but do do me a favor. Go to Pandavas who are now living in exile, but go to them after they had eaten their meals for that day, not before." Durvasa said, "That's fine." Hmm. So Durvasa, here in the purport, Prabhupada gives 10,000 disciples. He went to see Pandavas. But in other place, it is said actually 60,000 disciples. That time they were living in Kamyavan. Uh, there are 12 forests in Vrindavan, isn't it? So one of the forest name is Kamyavan. Some of us, we went there, Kamyavan. So they were living, and Durvasa went after they had finished all their meals, including Draupadi. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, it is the custom that especially a Brahman, saintly person comes as a Kshatriya, you must offer respects and receive them very nicely. So he did that, and he said that go and take bath in the river nearby, and then we will make arrangements for your prasadam. So Durvasa, along with the disciples, they went and they were taking bath in the river, and Maharaj Yudhishthir is in trouble now. Mm. So Draupadi was given a mystical pot by Surya Dev, sun god, uh, Akshaya Patra. So mystical pot that it would produce any amount of food as long as Draupadi had not eaten for that day. Once Draupadi eats for that day, it will not produce any more food. So Duryodhan knew this. That's why he said that he asked Durvasa to go after Draupadi had eaten. So now they were thinking what could be done. Prabhupada writes a beautiful thing, beautiful message in the purport that when devotees are in trouble, they always think of Krishna. They don't think uh, they don't think separately from Krishna. They immediately connect to Krishna. And immediately Draupadi thought of Krishna. And Krishna came. Krishna appeared all of a sudden on the scene. And Krishna said that, give me some food. Draupadi said, actually, there is no food to feed these brahmanas. Now you are asking me for more food. I have actually called for you to solve this problem. Uh, so Krishna said, don't worry, just get me that pot. And there was a little vegetable stuck to the pot. And Krishna took that little vegetable and ate it. And Krishna was satisfied. And Krishna now said to Bhim, go and get them. Go and get Durvasa along with his disciples. And Bhim with his gada, mace, went to the river, shore of the river and bank of the river, and he asked, come, Maharaj Yudhishthira had made so many preparations for you all to eat and enjoy. Come on. And while they were taking bath in the river, there were like their tummies were full. They felt complete satisfaction. They can't even bear the sight of the food. What to speak of eating a morsel? That's how they felt. And they've seen Bhimsena and they ran away from that place. And so this incident again was recollected by Arjun. And Prabhupada mentions a very interesting point. Let's read that only few sentences, but a very, very beautiful few lines. So text 11, who read this? Meena Jetani Mataji, you can read the last paragraph.
From this incident?
Yes.
Okay. This incident proves that the Lord is the greatest mystic, and therefore he is known as Yogeshwar. Another instruction is that every householder must offer food to the Lord, and the result will be that everyone, even a company of guests numbering 10,000, will be satisfied because of the Lord's being satisfied. That is the way of devotional service. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. So by feeding the Lord, you feed everyone else also. Every householder must offer food to the Lord. And so if some of us are not offering, maybe we can take this instruction is actually from this instant, actually Lord is asking us to offer, and this is the message of the Lord for us. If you're not offering, some of us, then we can start offering. So this example is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that yata tharor mula nishechanena truptyanti tatskanda bhujopashaka. So when you pour water at the root of the tree, the trunk, branches, sub-branches, leaves, twigs, every part of the tree becomes nourished. Similarly, when we feed the tummy, every part of the body is nourished. All our senses become active. Similarly, when we satisfy the Lord, everyone else is satisfied. When we worship the Lord, everyone else is also worshipped. There is no separate endeavor required to worship other people. Of course, we respect everybody. We respect everybody, but this is the key principle that comes. Mm. So let us offer our food preparation to the Lord before we consume. Mm. And anyway, it is given by the Lord to us. Prabhupada used to give this example that if father comes with a bunch of chocolates or biscuits and he gives to the child, and before the child eats and takes one biscuit, Papa, please have this biscuit. And then father really feels happy, although father gave those biscuits to the child. But because of that love that child is showing by giving one in return to the father feels extremely happy. Everything is given by the Lord. Yeah, what he needs is lacking our love. Krishna doesn't lack anything. He's lacking my love, isn't it? So I thought I should share that. And next, move forward. We have just 7 minutes. Maybe we can complete one more incident if possible. Uh,
Neeru Mataji, are you able to read?
Text 12.
12 and 13 if you are able.
Text 12.
Yeah. Neeru Mataji, are you able to read? If not, then Ujjwal Mani Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Haribol.
ma'am.
Very good. Text 12. It was by his influence only that in a fight I was able astonish the personality of God,
Lord, yeah.
Lord
Lord Shiva.
Shiva,
Hmm.
and his wife, the daughter of Lord Shiva, and his wife, the daughter of Mount Himalaya. Thus he, Lord Shiva, become pleased with me and awarded me his own weapon, awarded with me his own weapon. Other demigods also delivered their respective weapon to me, and in addition, I was able to reach the heavenly planet in this present body and half
Elevated seat.
elevated
See. Yeah, thank you, Mother. There was a
seat.
little breakdown there, and no worries. Here, Arjun was again recollecting another incident. So, Lord Shiva, disguised as hunter, and I think he was shooting a boar, wild boar, and Arjun um, could break that bow shot by Shiva. So the arrow was released by Lord Shiva, and that arrow was targeted by Arjun. That way, the boar was saved. Something like that. But in that fighting, Lord Shiva was extremely pleased with Arjun skills, talents, and in return, he gave a special weapon known as Pashupadastra, a weapon that is given by Lord Shiva to Arjun. Mm. Um, Prabhupada writes a very beautiful point in this purport. Uh, Extremely interesting and very useful point. Lord Shiva became pleased mm, with Arjun, and maybe one of you can maybe Ujjwal Mani Mataji, could you read the first paragraph only? Very very beautiful purport, and we can take some lessons.
Yeah. Is it the
Yeah.
Translation,
No, no, by
translation.
the grace of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Oh, it's not come on my screen. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there may be a little delay.
Yes. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, were pleased with Arjuna. The idea is that one who is favored by Lord Shiva or any other demigod may not necessarily be favored by the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Ravana was certainly a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he could not be saved from the
Wrath.
wrath of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Ramchandra, and there are many instances like that in the histories of the Puranas. But here is an instance where we can see that Lord Shiva became pleased even in the fight with Arjuna. The devotee of the Supreme Lord knows how to respect the demigods. The devotees of demigods sometimes foolishly think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no greater than the demigods. By such a conceptions, one becomes an offender and ultimately meets with the same end as Ravana and others. The instance described by Arjuna during his friendly dealings with Lord Sri Krishna are in- instructive for all who may be convinced by the lesson that one can achieve all favors simply by pleasing the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, where the devotee or worshippers of the demigods may achieve only partial benefits,
Yeah.
which are also
Perishable.
perishable, just as the demigods themselves are.
Thank you, Mataji. So I thought we should read that purport a little bit because there are so many wonderful points. The point Prabhupada clearly mentions that a devotee of the Supreme Lord knows how to respect everyone else, including the demigods. But a devotee of a demigod may not know many times how to respect everyone. Hmm? By becoming a devotee of the Supreme Lord, you will also be respected by others. Hmm? Um, Lord Shiva, when Prachetas in the Srimad Bhagavatam comes in the fourth canto, Prachetas, 10, a group of 10 brothers, they were devotees of the Lord. And when they were going to perform the devotional service by submerging themselves in the water, Lord Shiva says that I offer my respects to you because you are the devotees of the Lord. At the same time, the devotees of the Lord also offer respects to me because I am the devotee of the Lord. Eh? So that's how, like, if one becomes a devotee of Lord Krishna, everybody respects you. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a story of Jada Bharat. Hmm? After Bharat Maharaj left his body thinking of deer, he became deer in the next life. And then after the deer, he attained human birth. And that time he was known as Jada Bharat. And Jada Bharat, he acted as if he was fool, but he was super clever. He was a great devotee of the Lord. And these Kali worshippers, they wanted to sacrifice him for the Kali, and they captured him. And then he actually like he just followed them. No restriction. No, what is the right word? Yes, he just obeyed them. Hmm? No resistance. He just obeyed. And then they took him, they gave him bath, they were about to chop off his head as an offering to Kali. And believe me or not, Kali came out of the deity form and she killed her own devotees. This is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that he, because he was devotee of the Lord, Sri Krishna, everyone protects us. If you are a devotee of the Lord, everyone protects you. It doesn't mean that we disrespect someone. A devotee of the Lord knows how to respect everyone. Hmm. So by becoming devotee of the Lord, automatically we get everything. And in that text, Arjun was also thinking that in the self same body, he could go to heavenly planets. Hmm. Heavenly planets, one can go to heavenly planets by performing sacrifices after the giving up this body, present body. But Arjun could go to heavenly planet in the self same body, and he was given a nice respect by all the demigods there. All these achievements is thinking that are actually given by Lord Krishna. He was just recollecting that how all these wonderful things happened because of Lord Krishna's favor. Mm. So we will continue, because for each text there is a story I thought we should do, and let's enjoy and take some lessons from each and every story. Bottom line again comes to the first, I think in the text 5, that whatever we have is because of Krishna, and we should use in the service of the Lord. Mm. Every ability, any simple ability, every ability is given by Krishna to us, and we should see how we can engage in the service of the Lord. Mm. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any comments or any questions?
Very good.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for
Thank you, Prabhuji.
good
Very interesting
explanation.
today. Very,
It's
very interesting.
lot of stories. Last week was different. Last week was only all the inauspicious signs observed by Yudhishthir and various speculative questioning, and this week is slightly different.
Very
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hari Hari
Thank
Hari
you.
Bol,
Very
and
well. Thank you.
see
Thank you,
you all
Prabhuji.
next
Thank
week.
you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.